escalation of topic. And this is kind of, I'll probably make this a good summary for things. There's essentially 5 different types of conversation you can have with a girl, okay? The first one is the random bullshit conversation. It's called small talk, right? It's called just talking about random things that have nothing to do with you and her. That can be interesting, it can be fun, but if all you have is that, you're never sleeping with the girl, okay? At the very best, you'll be friends. Most likely, you'll be casual acquaintances. Most likely, you'll be the guy that she talks to for 5 minutes and says, oh, that was interesting, bye now. Or, thank you for the interesting conversation, bye. Or, it was nice meeting you. So that's the one, is it has nothing to do with you or her, okay? And that's kind of the worst for pickup. It's okay as a starter for the conversation, but it's the worst for intent and it's the worst for pickup. Okay, the other 4, and this is very important, are I, which means talking about yourself, you question mark, asking her about her, you statement, telling her about her, and then we, meaning talking about the two of you together, okay? And this is an escalation because what do most guys do when they talk to a girl and they're interested? They talk about random small talk, and then they do you question mark. They start asking her questions about herself, and that's very standard. And the asking her questions about herself for a typical chode is actually good game, because his other option was to talk about nothing. So at least he's bringing up the idea of him and her being together. At least he's trying to get to know her. So that's a form of showing intent. Do you see that? See how talking about going from small talk to asking her a question about herself is actually a way of showing intent. So we say don't ask her questions, and I'm going to stick with that. You shouldn't really ask her questions, but it is better than nothing. And that is why most guys do it, is because that's an easy way to show intent safely. It's a way to show intent without actually having to actually have a real penis, basically, okay? It's a weak way to show intent, but it's something. That's how most guys show intent. They do random conversation, they ask a girl about herself, and then the next thing they try and do to show intent, because they can't actually convey it through their personality or through their words and actions, they ask her on a date or ask for a phone number, and they take the social construct of a phone number or a date as the next step in showing intent. Because a phone number means something, as in like we're together, or a date means we've arranged to be together. Right? So because they can't show it through their actions, they throw it through what I call it phatic communication. It's the social context of a phone number or a date. And that's why guys go on formal dates and take girls to dinner and take them on multiple dates and court them, is because they can't show the intent in their actions, so they use that formal process as a proxy for showing intent. Does that make sense? So that's one way to go, but it's not what I'm going to encourage you guys to do. So I'm not going to encourage you question mark very much, at least not early in the interaction. Later in the interaction, when she really likes you, you can start to ask her questions about herself, but don't do it early. So that's the next worst one. You want to try and avoid that one, okay? But within the other ones, I, you statement, and we. Generally, when you open a set, you want to start out talking about I. Talk about yourself. Now, why? Is it because you're more interesting than she is? Probably, no. It's because it's safer, okay? If you talk about yourself, she can't object to that. If you say, I went to XYZ school and I'm this many years old, she's not going to say, you fucking liar, bullshit. Right? Unless you said like I'm an astronaut and I'm like 12. But for the most part, she can't really challenge that because it's about you, okay? But if you tell her about her, you're like, you are an arrogant bitch, or even if it's positive, you are a very like professional person, but at the same time you go out of your way to be kind and compassionate sometimes. I mean, that's a pretty much a truism, so she probably won't object, but she theoretically could. You see that? As soon as you start talking about her, it's a little more risky. She could object to it, okay? So generally, you open with I. It's strong, it's powerful, it's moving it forward. And then you want to go to you statement, because it's safe, but it's starting to broach the idea of you and her together. And then eventually you want to move it to we, which is the idea of we should do this, we should do that, we are this, we won't get along, we will get along, etc. All right? And that's when you're really showing intent, and that's when you're really in some kind of an interaction with her. So that's the progression you want to have. I to you to we, in terms of like topics. Okay, so that's where you want to be. So the idea is you walk into talk to the girl, you want to get her talking, participate in the conversation, and then gradually shift from I, which is you talking at her, to you, which is you guys exchanging, to we, which is you guys really together. No longer you hitting on her, but the two of you together. And that's where you're going to go with in terms of the topics. There's this sort of perception in game that you need to be like a total aloof, she can't have you badass at the start of the set, and then later on you need to be like all like giving and building comfort and letting her believe she deserves you, right? Later in the set. And the problem is guys learn that and they start out being a badass and get the girl like attracted to them, and then they become a little pussy and the girl gets unattracted to them, right? And like, but I was just building comfort. No, you became lame. Like you like chopped your penis off in the middle of the set, all right? Just don't do that, all right? What you need to do is you're constantly, even at the start when you're being a badass, you're a badass with a little bit of nice. And then later on you become nice with a little bit of badass. But it's always just like a continuum of gray, okay? It's never like where you've completely like handed her your balls on a platter, and it's never like where you're a total aloof asshole that's not even a human being, okay? You're somewhere in the middle. And what happens, the better you get to know her and the more that there's some like camaraderie in the conversation, there's more nice and less dickhead, but there's still a little bit of both, right? So you keep that push-pull always. And like this is something I'm really well known for, is that almost everything that comes out of my mouth is like a big push-pull, right? Every single thing, even like when I give a compliment or when I give rapport to a girl, like I'll say things like, wow, you're actually not so bad, right? To me, like, funny thing, I know that's been trained in me for 13 years and I know why I say it that way, but to me when I say it, I actually mean that as a really genuine compliment. In fact, to me, that seems like a more genuine compliment than like, you're kind of great. Because if I say you're kind of great, that sounds like cheesy bullshit, right? But I'm like, you're actually not so bad. To me, that means like, you are standing out from other girls, and that's high, high praise. But for some reason, girls are like, not so bad? What do you mean, not so bad? Did you think I wasn't gonna be good? Did you not like me at first? So, but the point is, everything has a push-pull in it. That was fucking retarded. I'm not even gonna pretend I'm answering that. Anyway. Yeah, I do it all the time. I break rapport constantly. Another thing, the best way to break rapport is just like look at him and shake your head. Just look at him like. Anyway, back into it. Or the other one is I do a lot. I already mentioned this one, but they do something. I'm just like, it's really nice meeting you. It's like, I want you to know it's not you, it's me. I'm just not really at that point, but I want you to know you're a wonderful girl. I still think I'm sure you're gonna find a great guy. I actually have single friends if you're interested. I want you, like, you haven't let yourself go. You still look great in that dress. It has nothing to do with your love handles. It's totally cool. I just fuck around with it, all right? Thank you. I do what I can. The point is I do it a lot, but you don't want to do it just to do it. Do it in order to enhance the interaction. Don't do it just to push a button, okay? A lot of guys, because I've told you a lot of things just in the last 5 or 10 minutes here that are extremely, extremely gamey and even like a little manipulative gamey. Don't do them to press a button, okay? For 2 reasons. One, it's pretty fucking conniving, and 2, it won't work, okay? It won't work if you do it to press a button. It will work if you do it to make things more fun for yourself and to give her an experience. What you need to understand about breaking rapport is that girls need a certain like emotional roller coaster in the set. They need a certain range of emotions. It's like if you went to a movie and the whole movie was like a picture of a rainbow bouncing along on top of a field of flowers, would you watch that movie? No, but it's so positive, uplifting, and happy, right? No, you want plot, you want tension, you want drama, you want things to go bad and get fixed, right? You need that range of emotions. The girl needs the same thing. So when you do these things like breaking rapport, you do them either because she's deserved them and she needs it to like be put in line, or because she needs it for the range of emotions in the interaction. Okay, so you don't do it just to push a button. That's very, very key as well. I'll give you like the standard like rhetoric definition of intent, which I think what you're looking for. But I actually, in the context of this, I actually do mean sexual intent in most of the things that I'm saying, because we're talking specifically about making it sexual. But intent, the other form of intent, the broader form of intent, is the idea of being clear in your thoughts, words, and actions, being a leader in the conversation, and talking about the things you want to talk about, rather than the things just because you think she wants to hear them, or the things to make it work, or just allowing her to stay on her conversational topics because it's easier. It means stepping up and knowing who you are, knowing what you're about, and standing up for it. Does that make sense? And that's another form of intent as well. However, I do believe you need both. I believe if you just have intent, if you're just a cool, clear guy, then you'll be that guy that the friends like and that they want to hang out around, but not the guy that they're going to have sex with. I think you actually do need to bring sex up. At least my particular style of game, I bring sex up like relentlessly. So it is an extremely sexual form of intent. Now there are a lot of like specific moves you can do and a lot of techniques and stuff. One thing I will suggest if you're having trouble with intent on a practical level is give yourself a stack of like maybe 6 things to do and practice them and go out with that as your mission. Okay, so what was it we used to do? I used to do like handshake, spin, hug, kiss, lift, claw, like pull her over to you, and then like maybe like drag her somewhere. Just put those in the order of what you're most comfortable doing to what you're least comfortable doing, and just do the one you're most comfortable with the girl, and then once you've done that, try and do the next one. Once you've done that, try and do the next one, and keep moving it forward. Be just diligent, I guess. Do your due diligence with moving it constantly forward, and make that a drill for one night. If you have trouble escalating, make that a drill. Escalate physically through that stack, okay? Or if you have trouble escalating verbally, maybe even write down 6 lines that show intent, and write them down from the ones that are least intentful to the ones that are most intentful, and then make it a point to say all 6 in order. Say the first one, then the second one, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Not because you should have scripted sets or that like you need to follow like an exact word-for-word game plan, but that you need to teach yourself the habit of moving it forward and escalating physically. All right. Jeff has a great list like this. It starts with like, what is it? You seem very fashionable. Are you a fashion person? That's his like first level of showing intent, which is like almost not intentful at all, right? And then like his later levels are like, I want to finger you with my penis. So like it definitely escalates over time. All right. So, but you wouldn't start with the I want to finger you with my penis. You'd want some compliance first. Okay. You want to go one to the next to the next. The biggest part of showing intent though is making the decision to take the risk, making the decision to be okay with failing. Okay. Big concept in game. Play to win rather than to not lose. Most guys play to not lose. Always. Okay? They play to not lose with the girl on whatever interaction they have, to keep her as a friend, whatever. They also play to not have a negative emotion.